How's it going, guys? Andrew Sarar here. A couple weeks ago, I had the awesome opportunity to attend the International Sportsman's Expo, but I wasn't there just to attend. I was there to actually help sell product. Rods, reels, tackle, you name it. So for all 4 days of the ISE show, I was sitting behind a reel counter talking to all different types of anglers, novices, professionals, everything in between, guys that were going saltwater fishing, guys that were going trout fishing, bass fishing, salmon fishing, you name it. And I learned a lot from them, and luckily I was able to teach a lot of them and get them set up with the right gear for what they were doing. So the majority of my weekend was actually spent behind the reel counter selling reels. And I had my opportunity to get my hands on every reel from $30 all the way up to $700. And talking to hundreds and hundreds of anglers, there really were 3 common questions that I got multiple times. And I wanted to share those with you guys today in the hopes that if you guys are also in these situations, I can help give you guys some recommendations that helps me and hopefully help them as well. And I do want to preface before I get started that the majority of these recommendations are going to be focused more centrally on the freshwater side of things. The saltwater is a whole different beast. It's not something I am a huge expert in. So a lot of these recommendations are going to be more on the freshwater side of fishing. Question number 1. I'm a brand new angler. I just got into the sport and I'm looking for my first setup. I don't want to spend a lot of money, but what kind of reel would you recommend to help me get started? So the couple recommendations I gave were from 2 great companies, Shimano and Daiwa. On the Daiwa side, we are going to be talking about the Daiwa Laguna. Now, the Laguna is a reel that retails for $40. It is a extremely cost-effective reel with the great build quality of Daiwa. It has a very solid drag system, and the bearings are top-notch. It is a reel that at its price point is still going to have the longevity, and that is the big thing with reels, is longevity. Something with bad bearings or bad build quality, something that's more plastic-based versus metal-based, is where you're going to see those reels going out in 6 months as opposed to 2 to 3 years. And on the Shimano side, we're going to have the Shimano NexSave. Now, the NexSave is a little bit pricier. It's at $50, but still a great price for somebody that's just starting out. And for all the same reasons of the Daiwa Laguna, the build quality that Shimano has is top notch. The bearings in there are awesome. I mean, I can't overstate it enough how great the bearing system inside of Shimano reels are. The drag on it is phenomenal, and to be completely honest with you, a lot of people chose it because of the look, and that color combination is honestly unmatched. I love it myself too. Now, as you'll notice, for that question specifically about starting out, I only started them out on spinning reels. Well, that is because I would not touch a bait caster if you are a newbie. You should only be using spinning reels until you are much more confident, much more avid, and then you can transition over into the bait casting side. And this brings me to question number 2. Hey, I'm an avid angler. I've been fishing for a while. I've been experimenting with different reels, and I want to start getting into bait casting as well. I want a reel that is going to be quality. I don't want to break the bank, but I also don't want to pay for something that is lacking quality or is gonna go out in a year. What kind of reel would you recommend? So whenever I got this question, I told people that my price point for a reel like this is $100. At $100, you're going to get a reel that is quality. You're going to get a reel that you can trust even in tournament. You're not worried that the drag system's going to lock up on you. You're not worried that the reel's suddenly going to stop working on you. It is a workhorse. So for this question, I'm going to have 1 spinning reel and 1 bait casting reel that I would recommend. So we're going to start on the spinning side and we're going to go back to Daiwa. And to be honest, this reel is the reel that I sold the most of at the show. And honestly, it might be the #1 selling spinning reel on the freshwater side in the nation. I wouldn't be surprised if you told me that. And that is going to be the Daiwa Fuego. Now, the Daiwa Fuego is actually a reel I use a lot myself. It is an absolute workhorse, and you know, even though I fish a lot of tournaments, I want to make sure my gear is good, I still trust this $110 reel for all of my tournament needs, all of my finesse needs. Now, I actually have 2 of those Daiwa Fuegos still in my arsenal to this day. The one that I just showed you is actually for my most finesse setup. I throw that on a 7-foot medium light, and that is a rod that I use for mid-strolling with a super small head, Ned rigs, freeline Senkos, Nico rigs, drop shots, you name it. And the reason I love that reel so much is the drag system. Now, that is a drag system that, for me, has never locked up. And to be honest with you, it is probably some of the smoothest drag on any reel that I've ever used, let alone a reel that only costs $110. And you know what? The black and red design, you honestly can't beat it. This is a sick looking reel. Now, on the bait casting side, we're going to slide over to Shimano and look at the Shimano SLX. Now, the Shimano SLX is another one that I have recently added to my arsenal, and it has been a great addition for me. Now, if you guys have been following this channel at all this winter, you've probably seen that reel in every single clip or long form video that I've done this winter. So the old reel that I had on my jig rod finally went out. It was a lower end reel and the bearings started going bad. And I was looking for an affordable reel that I could bring in that wasn't going to break the bank for me, but it was something that I could rely on, especially throwing jigs, 20-pound test, heavy action rod. I mean, I wanted something that was a workhorse, and I ended up with the Shimano SLX. So the SLX only retails for $100, and honestly, it is a freaking workhorse. I mean, at least on this channel, the footage speaks for itself. I've only had that reel for, I think, 3 months now, maybe not even 3 months. And I've already pulled probably 60 fish out on that reel. And I can truly say, from the castability, the build quality, the handling and work that you get out of $100 reel, especially when you're pulling on them hard with a 7.6 heavy, you're setting hooks pretty hard with a jig. I mean, it's awesome. It's just awesome. And finally, question number 3. Hey man, I've been fishing for a long time. You know, I've experimented with a lot of different rods and reels, but now I think I'm ready to step up to build my dream combo. You know, price isn't that big of a factor for me, and I really just want the best of the best gear. What do you think I should get? So again, for this one, I'm going to give you 1 spinning and 1 bait casting recommendation. By far, the new leader on the high-end side for spinning reels is going to be the Shimano Vanford. The Shimano Vanford has elite build quality, a drag system that is smoother than anything on the market. It is super lightweight, and it's going to retail you $250. But you know what? If cost is not as big of a factor for you, this is the best reel you can get. And if you're questioning if it's really that good, ask anybody you know who uses it, or watch a Jacob Wheeler video. Now, on the bait casting side, I know I said I was going to give you 1. I actually think I want to give you 2. I've got 1 that's going to be for your 100 to 200 size reels, your smaller compact reels, and then I'm going to have 1 for your 300 to 400 size, you know, the ones for those bigger applications, those bigger swim baits, those A-rigs, stuff like that. On the smaller side, the 100 to 200 size, we're going to go with the Shimano Curado. Now, for anybody that has been fishing for a while, you know the Curado name is kind of a gold standard as far as bait casters go. I know guys that have had Curados for upwards of 10 years, and they're still going strong. Top-notch build quality, a reel where castability is at an all-time high. The bearings are phenomenal. I mean, if somebody's using it for 10 years and the bearings aren't going out, that says it in and of itself. And at a price point right now, 2025, for a brand new Curado of $200, it's something that truly isn't going to break the bank like those $400 or $500 reels that you see. Now, transitioning over to the bigger sizes, those 300 and 400, the Curado is still good, but the new one that has really taken off over the last few years is going to be the Shimano Tranx. Now, the Shimano Tranx in the 300 and 400 size was actually a reel I was lucky enough to use right after it came out, and it was just different. This reel, at least in the 300 size, and maybe even the 400 if you have big enough hands, is something you can actually palm. So having a reel of that size with the build quality and the work power of a 300 to 400 size reel is unreal to start. Then once you actually cast it, you fight fish with it, you use it all day, that's when you realize how phenomenal this reel is. You can cast baits a mile with it. You can workhorse any size fish with it. It's not going to lock up. The bearings are going to stay strong. That was one of the craziest reels to honestly come out for its time. And still to this day, the Tranx is such a sought after reel in that 300, 400, and even now for the saltwater guys, the 500 size. So I hope for you guys that might have similar questions to the ones I got at the ISE show and showcased in this video, that these recommendations help you get a great baseline to get you going in bass fishing wherever you're at in your journey. If you guys would like to see more informative videos like this, please leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, comment any questions you might have or you want me to cover. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.